I am both confused and fascinated by the strange love that Liberal Party supporters have for MP Sean Fraser. There's this weird movement behind Sean Fraser, the current Minister of Housing and Infrastructure, to make him like the successor to Justin Trudeau. It really demonstrates how shallow the Liberal bench is, that the Liberals know that they can't run a Mark Carney or a Chrystia Freeland because they appeal to absolutely nobody. But really, Sean Fraser, I don't like Justin Trudeau, obviously. He's an incompetent prime minister. He's a very nasty person. He's deeply corrupt. But Sean Fraser seems like just Justin Trudeau minus the charisma. He's like Justin Trudeau, but far more awkward. And I don't get the appeal of him at all. Again, it just demonstrates that there's just nobody for the Liberals to run. I have some clips here, but I just want to start off with this tweet. I only have one screenshotted, but I've seen this all the time. Like randomly, it'll pop up in my feed, and I've seen even mainstream media journalists like kind of slowly trying to hype up Sean Fraser. That like this lady said, if the Liberal Party of Canada puts him as leader, the Conservative Party is in trouble. He's young, good-looking, funny, really good at interviews. Anyone who isn't terminally online doesn't associate with him with any baggage. Women will like him a lot. It's like, okay, lady, okay, settle down, settle back. Like you realize, have you ever seen clips of this man talk? Do you think that this man will do well in an actual like a debate? I want to show you a couple of his clips just speaking first, then I'll get to this weird blooper video Sean Fraser put out. I think he's trying to come off like likable and upgrade that charisma, and then I want to talk about his actual record as a minister and secretary to other ministers. It's wild to think that they think this guy is going to be prime ministerial material in a few years.
When I actually compare the measures that we're putting on the table to the measures that Mr. Poilievre is proposing to advance, his plan will result in fewer homes being constructed than we are already on pace to build. Moreover, I don't like the way he demeans people who can't afford a home. I don't like the way he describes co-op housing as Soviet-style housing. I don't like the way that he calls a small and modest home in Niagara a shack for promotional purposes. I don't like the way he uses homeless people as props on his social media accounts. The reality is we have to ask ourselves, not how are we just going to tap into the anxiety that's very real in communities for our own political gain, but who are we trying to help at the end of the day?
Not only is that just a lie because the Liberals have not significantly increased the building of homes in this country. Every time the government tries to take over house building, the houses become less of lesser quality, and they go up at a slower pace. That's why he's having to defend the idea of a fight back against the idea of Soviet-style housing that Poilievre was rightfully putting out. Nobody actually wants to live in co-op housing where you have to share amenities with other people. But that's the Liberal solution, is that you'll own less and you'll be happy or whatever. And it's like, I don't get the energy from him. Yeah, you could say it's a press conference just asking a generic question. But I don't see this guy. I'm like, that guy could be prime minister. I think that guy could be a backbench MP at best. But for some reason, he's currently the Minister of Housing.
Why won't he watch the documentary, follow the common sense plan to get rid of the taxes and the bureaucracy and build more homes?
The Honourable Minister of Housing.
Mr. Speaker, it's fascinating. For him, it's about how many people are going to watch his Twitter videos. For me, it's about how many people are going to have a roof over their head.
Hear, hear.
The right path forward is going to have Canada make investments in home building, not cuts to home builders. The right investment will reduce taxes on the construction of homes, not put taxes on them. Mr. Speaker, the right path forward will not repeat the mistakes of the past by cutting funding for affordable housing for 30 years, as that honourable member pledges to do. We will make the investments. We will not accept that cuts are the right approach.
For one thing, I like when he says, I care about how many roofs are over the heads of Canadians. It's like, well, based on your record and the record of your government, it seems like you care about reducing the amount of roofs available, considering per capita the housing rate, like the actual people per house is skyrocketing in this country, especially among immigrants who have to basically share half a basement suite with like 4 other people in order to actually be able to make ends meet. It's insane. But also just watching that clip, he gives me like really big Ben Wyatt vibes from Parks and Recreation. He's kind of awkward. Doesn't mean he's a bad guy, but I don't see where like that one lady's tweet said, women are going to love him a lot. What part of it? It's very awkward. Like maybe he'd he'd make a good side character in a romantic comedy, but I'm not really seeing where this guy's gonna somehow best pure Polyev. And just letting you know, that was a clip that Sean Fraser posted. All of these clips so far are things that Sean Fraser himself posted. He thought that looked good. That exchange where Polyev went after him for not knowing anything about housing, and for 2 minutes straight, he's just like, well, I care about housing, and I don't think the conservatives care about housing as much as I care about housing. I don't know what but it's so weak. It's so weak. And again, I'm obviously anti-liberal. I'm currently running for the Calgary Signal Hill Conservative Party nomination. So if you live in Calgary Signal Hill, shameless plug, buy a membership and vote for me. Based on my viewership, I always repeat this, but based on my viewership in these videos, I guarantee a couple dozen of you live in my riding, so make sure you and your household has memberships. But the thing is that I want to get to the bloopers now, because this is him trying to be likable. The man comes off very robotic. Justin Trudeau, again, incompetent, nasty, and corrupt. But when you go back to the 2015 elections, 2019 elections, although if you're very politically plugged in, Justin Trudeau's performance feels fake to you, but you can tell how a normal person would be, attracted to Justin Trudeau's style. He has we can see him putting on this very performative, trying to act natural kind of vibe. But at the same time, if you haven't seen him do it before, he comes off as somewhat authentic. I just did a stream yesterday making fun of him in this one interview, trying to come off like a regular bro. But if you hadn't seen clips of him before, you might be tricked into thinking that Justin Trudeau is some normal guy who's grew up in a middle class household, but over time not. But Sean Fraser, not for a second do you believe that this man is authentic. He is a fully CGI person. But here's his blooper reel. Trying to come off like just some, funny guy.
A few days ago, I put sorry, let me start again. Should I, sorry, I got my hands in my pockets. Should I do my normal hand talker thing? Give you more blooper reels here? For 30 years, sorry, my voice is cracking on me here. I think they can actually afford
housing.
We're gonna get there. Okay. Affordable housing in this country. This great, be very careful what you look for. I'm gonna back it up. Are we going from the top again? Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna nail it this time. We actually joined Mayor Mike Serevich. Mayor Mike Serevich. Last week I testified before the with the adoption of the, sorry, I got totally distracted when you the federal government under both federal
Okay, that's enough of that. It went on for another 20 seconds, but I didn't want to subject myself to any more. The only funny thing in that entire thing is someone bleeping out him swearing with housing. Those aren't even good bloopers. It's just him flubbing a line and then saying, can we restart? But I guess this man is going to take the country by storm because of his amazing charisma and hair or something like that. But but you might be thinking, even though you're not thinking this because you already think he's incompetent, but you might be thinking, okay, he's not a super interesting guy. He's not someone who lights the room on fire, but maybe he's good at his job. I don't even have to say spoiler alert, he's not. But anyways, I'm just going to read off the roles he's held. And you could say, well, maybe he's just so good at his job that he just keeps getting moved to different departments because, he's just someone who gets, brings the team together and then they need to shift him over somewhere else. It's never how it works. If you're good at your job, you either get a better job or you stay at your job longer. That is how it works in government, private business. It's just always how it has worked. But so here's Sean Fraser's job. So he assumed office as the Minister of Housing, Infrastructure and Communities in July 26, 2023. Took over for Dominic LeBlanc and Ahmed Hussein. And then he was the Minister of Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship between October 26, 2021 and July 26, 2023. And he was then, before that, the Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Finance, 2019 to 2021, and Parliamentary Secretary, Minister of Middle Class Prosperity, 2019 to 2021, December to October 2021. And then Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Environment and Climate Change. That was Catherine McKenna he was serving under, August 31st, 2018 to September 11th, 2019. And before that, he was just a backbencher. And some of those you could, define it as him moving up in the world. But he literally got thrown into it doesn't really matter. Like I'm just sort of going on now, but like the thing is, like, you don't get thrown around this much. And if you actually look at his performance in many of these roles, it's been mostly incompetent, mostly added absolutely nothing. He was not noticed, or he messed it up. Currently on housing, he is messing it up. The Liberals are trying to pretend that if they throw money at the current problem, that it's a sign that their government and Sean Fraser are hyper competent. It's not. Just look at California. Look at New York. Look at Ontario. Look at any province, BC, any province who invests a lot of government taxpayer money into trying to build more houses. Whenever the government has to inject massive amounts of money to try and get houses built, it's usually because they've already messed up by having way too many regulations, taxes, different sort of like labor laws that are making it difficult to actually build buildings. So whenever the government's having to throw $200 million at building more housing in Mississauga or Brampton, it's because Mississauga and Brampton are basket cases to build in. There's a reason why they're not really throwing much money at Calgary to build houses. There's some money here and there, but it's because Calgary, despite also having too high taxes and too high regulations, is at least not bad to the point where you can still build houses. The housing money only goes to places that nobody wants to build houses in, which means that you're just paying developers way more money than anyone reasonably should in order to put up a house that isn't that fantastic. That's why the government is resorting to things like co-ops and other sort of like tiny row housing. It's because that if they're going to pay a developer $100 million to build not that much housing, not that much infrastructure, well, at least make it so that you can chop up those buildings into as many units as humanly possible. Is what the Soviet Union did. Just give people tiny hole-in-the-wall homes because it makes it faster to build 40 houses that way than actual 40 standalone single homes. And you can probably build 40 standalone single homes way faster than we currently build even like a giant apartment building for like hundreds of people if you just deregulate and you let the developers do their jobs. Anyway, sorry, now I'm just going into the housing issue, but that should be pretty much it for me today. Sean Fraser, not going to take over for Justin Trudeau. Justin Trudeau is not a good leader, and he's going to lead his party into defeat. And after he's gone, the Liberal Party leadership is going to be a bloodbath because none of these people have any sort of magnetism that's going to make the Liberal Party supporters sort of like go towards them the way that they went towards, Justin Trudeau back in 2013 or Poilievre for the Conservatives in 2022. It's not even going to be like a 2020 Conservative leadership where there's a few candidates that were like, decently not on paper seemed good and they had split the vote. It's going to be like, I think it's going to be like the 2017 race. There's going to be like 12 Liberals running, and Fraser's not going to win because as Fraser keeps talking, unless they prop him up hard to try and get him in, over time, people are going to realize that this guy has nothing to say. He has nothing to say, and at the same time, he doesn't even say what he has, his nothing in a particularly convincing manner. But that should be it for me today. I have my Give, Send, Go fund linked in the description of this video below. Being sued by a billionaire, currently winning. It's a completely frivolous defamation suit against myself and the National Telegraph. We're winning. We actually have facts on our side. They have pretty much nothing. And then also, again, a reminder, I'm running for the Calgary Signal Hill Conservative Party nomination. So if you live in Calgary, check which riding you're in case that you're in Signal Hill. And if you do, buy a membership, buy your family memberships. You're allowed to buy your family memberships if you live in the house with them, and get any other friends or neighbors to buy memberships if you can. Really helps me out. I'm door knocking and selling memberships directly as well. So don't worry, I'm not just saddling you with all my work. But other than that, I hope everyone has a Merry Christmas and fantastic New Year, although I will still be making videos